there, it's Jacques from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to part 5 of our 6-part Battle for Zendikar set review. Today we're going to look at all of the green cards in the set, and if you're just joining us, the last 4 days we looked at white, blue, black, and red. Today we'll look at green. Tomorrow we'll be back with the rest of the set. So tomorrow's going to be a little bit of a lengthier video because the rest of the set is pretty substantial. However, I did want to still get that into one part, get you ready for the pre-release as soon as possible, since pre-release will start on Friday night. Also on top of that, on Thursday, I'm going to go ahead and post my pre-release primer to talk about what you can expect from the Battle for Zendikar pre-release. Having said all that, if you're new to the channel, definitely a great time to subscribe. Even after the set review, we got a lot of great content coming up. Got a lot of stuff that I've been wanting to get to for a long time. So we got a lot of cards to look at. Let's jump into them. We'll start with Beastcaller Savant. Okay, so this one's interesting to me. First off, I want to call out the fact that we get a Lotus Cobra cameo in the art. That's exciting. I love it. Aside from that, what's this card do? Well, it's an ally, so keep that in mind. That's very good. Now, we don't really have one-drop mana dorks anymore once Elvish Mystic leaves rotation. This is the closest thing you're going to get. Costs 2, but it does have haste, so you can play it on the second turn. Gives you mana of any color, which is cool, but it can only be used for a creature spell. So I find that a little odd, considering Converge is a thing, and Converge just seems kind of wonky in a lot of ways anyway. It just seems like it would be nice to have more cards to help enable it, and this doesn't help enable Converge creatures, but I think there's only one Converge creature that I can think of off the top of my head. Most of the Converge cards are spells, so it doesn't do a lot for your Converge. It does ramp you, and that's good. That's definitely a thing that you're going to see as we move forward in green. Green is a very strong ramp color, but it doesn't do everything maybe you would expect it to do at first glance. So having said all that, the other thing that feels a little odd about this card is that it's a rare, and Elvish Mystic was a common. Now I get it, this is giving you a mana of any color, but at the same time I feel like from a rarity point of view, this is a very strange downgrade for this type of effect. Still a good card. You're still going to play it in limited. It's still going to see standard play because it has the versatility and it's fast. But at the same time, I find it a little odd that it's rare. Strong card though for you. Next is Blister Pod, and this is a value 1-drop, and especially in this green deck, you're going to see one of the themes that green has is Eldrazi tokens, and those can go in one of two directions. You could play, say for example, a blue-green Eldrazi token deck and just try to go super wide and just blow your opponent away with 1/1 tokens, pump the tokens. There's a lot of different combat tricks out there that can help you do that. But at the same time, the other way to go with this is to use these tokens to sacrifice them and ramp into larger creatures like real big Eldrazi. So there's a couple routes you can go. This is going to help with either of them. It's a real fine 1-drop, and you get value because when it dies, you get a Scion token. So you get another 1/1 creature that can also be sacrificed for mana. Back in Modern Masters, there was a 1/1 for 1 that was green, and when it died, you got a 1/1 Saproling token, and that was actually a pretty good card, just value-wise. So this is even better than that. Hunter Worm. So this is basically the green Summit Prowler. It's pretty decent in limited. Summit Prowler is a good card. It comes out relatively quick, and it gives you a lot of power and toughness on the board for the early to mid game. This does the same thing, and with all the ramp effects, you could actually get this out a little quicker in green. So this is a fine limited card. It's not super exciting. It's of course very vanilla, but it will do some work. Next we have Brood Monitor, and this one is pretty nice. It's going to give you 3 1/1 Eldrazi tokens. So when you look at the stats, I'm paying 6 for a 3/3. Well, that doesn't sound exciting, but when you look a little closer, I'm getting 6 power and toughness on the board, and I also get the ability to perhaps sacrifice 3 of the tokens to get more mana. Yeah, that becomes pretty awesome. It reminds me a lot of the red Hatcher card from Rise of the Eldrazi, which was very good. Now that costs 5. This does cost 1 more. But that card was really good, so this is still very strong and limited. Call of the Signs. This one's not super exciting, and you're going to find this in a lot of the green cards. A lot of the green cards do what green wants to do, and if you're not in one of those plans, then the card might not be playable in your limited deck, but if you're in the plan, it's a good card. This is a perfect example of that. it's not a good card if you don't care about tokens. If I'm playing maybe an aggressive build, let's say I'm playing green-red and I'm just going landfall aggro, well, this just doesn't matter to me that much. I don't want to waste my 3 slot with it. But if I'm going tokens wide with maybe blue-green, or just plain want to sacrifice these to get big old Eldrazi's on the board, well, this card becomes a whole lot better. So know your deck, use this card when you're in the right archetype, and you're going to do just fine. I think that's the key to a lot of these cards, especially in green. Know what archetype you're in, because it really does matter, in particularly green in this set. Next is Earthen Arms. This was interesting to me. It gives 2+1/+1 counters to target permanent, but it is a sorcery, so it's not really a combat trick. Obviously, this is made for aggro decks, and the reason it's permanent is so you can throw it on your lands. So yeah, it's a thing. Awaken's a little expensive though. You can play it. It's probably best in the green-red aggro build where you're just trying to be super aggressive. But again, if you're dropping this, it means you're not dropping a creature. So I don't know. This one's not very exciting to me. I don't see myself playing this under most circumstances. I do find it interesting that it goes on target permanent, but probably not good enough for me to really play at sorcery speed. Next we have Eyeless Watcher, and this is a 4-drop for a 1/1. Well, that doesn't sound too good, but where's the other power and toughness? It's in the form of Scion tokens. So you get 2 tokens, so now you got basically 3 power and toughness for 4, which is a little more standardized for 4 mana, and 2 of it can be sacked for ramp. So again, it might not be super exciting unless you have a plan to go wide. You're going to be able to pump these tokens, get some damage across, or you're going to turn them in for some bigger creatures later. If you're not on that plan, this is not a good card to run in your deck, but if you're on that plan, it's a very good card. From Beyond. Now, this is the one kind of token generator card that I'd probably say is good, even if I'm not going into the token or the ramp strategy, just because it's good. From Beyond, it reminds me a lot of Awakening Zone, and those type of effects, Awakening Zone, Breeding Pit, they are very good effects. They can see constructed play. This card potentially could see some constructed play in Standard. I would not be shocked. These are awesome in Commander. This will be a good cube card to include in your cube. It's just that good. In this case, it costs 1 more than Awakening Zone did, but you get 1/1 Scion creature tokens instead of the 0/1s you got in Rise of the Eldrazi. And on top of it, if it gets targeted or you just plain want to sacrifice it to 2 different Eldrazi, you get to do that as well for 2 mana. That's pretty awesome. So this card is super pushed. It's a rare. You're not going to see it all the time. But yeah, it's going to show up in limited occasionally. When it does, it's going to be a bomb. You're going to have to find a way to deal with it. Giant Mantis. So this is basically Giant Spider whenever they don't want to theme a spider, but they want a different creature. And it's a good card. It's always been a good limited card. It's going to continue to be a good limited card. It's cheap. You get 2/4. It has reach. It blocks flyers. It just does everything you want to do defensively. You can even get in there for some damage every once in a while. Good limited card. You'd be happy to play it. Green Warden of Marasa. This can be very powerful. Now, it costs 6 for a 5/4, which is maybe a little bit underwhelming stat-wise, considering some of the huge creatures in this set. But when he enters the battlefield, he gets to regrow, and if he dies, you can exile it, and you get to regrow again. That's pretty powerful. Regrowth is a powerful effect. It can do a lot of crazy things, and if you get to regrowth twice off this guy, and you get a 5/4 body, definitely worth it. You can see why he's a mythic. When you have this card, yeah, definitely play it. It's fantastic. It's going to do some work for you and give you some value for sure in limited. Is he good enough to see Standard play? He's a little expensive at the 6 mana drop, but he does have a regrow ability. Wouldn't it be nice to regrow your Siege Rhinos in Abzan? That would be kind of crazy. He might just make it there at the top of the curve. I wouldn't be completely shocked if he did, but he is a little pricey. Next we have Infuse with the Elements. This is a Converge card. Not super excited about this one. It does give permanent +1/+1 counters, which can be good in aggro, but I just don't like the hoops you have to jump through to get it to work for you. Now it's an instant, it's a combat trick, which is good too. But if I'm only paying 1 color into this, I'm only getting 1 counter. If I'm paying 2 colors in, which is probably more than norm, I'm getting 2 counters, but I'm still paying 4, and I do have to have 2 colors of mana available. It just starts to get awkward. I just feel like there's better things you'd be doing at the 4 slot. Probably not going to play this one in most cases. Jacques Offshoot. So this one's interesting. This is going to do a couple things for you. This is amazing protection against the aggro deck. I would even consider, and you're going to see a few other cards in green that are really great against aggro. I'd even consider perhaps, if I find myself losing badly in game 1 to an aggro deck, completely sideboarding a color out and bringing green in. It's that good against aggro. This is one of those cards that enables it. Now, it is uncommon, so these won't be floating around as much as maybe you would like, but it's a 1-drop. It's an 0/3. It's going to take care of those small creatures early on and be able to block them. And then on top of that, whenever you play a land, you gain a life. That's perfect against aggro. Now, other strategies that you're playing, this isn't as good, obviously. This isn't an offensive card. It's not helping you with your token strategy. It's not helping you with your aggressive strategy, but it's a very good sideboard card in Limited. Lifespring Druid. So this is the elf druid that's going to help you actually get 1 mana of any color that can be spent for Converge. Costs 3, but that's okay. You get a 2/1 and it's ramp. You won't mind doing it. It's obviously very good for Converge, like I said, but it's also just very good for ramp. You're just trying to get to bigger spells, bigger Eldrazi's. You won't mind playing this in Limited. It'll be decent for you. Marasa Ranger. Watch out for this card. It's a little bit of a trap. It's not a bad card in itself for Limited. You pay 4 for a 3/3. Those are just fine stats. But don't be fooled by the landfall ability here. It forces you to pay mana into it to get counters, and this is a creature that doesn't have evasion. So don't hold onto your spells to pump this guy, even though it seems good at the time. I'm paying 4 more mana, now it's a 5/5. And there are times where strategically that might be fine to do, but in most cases, still could be chump blocked, and what's worse is spout removal. If you're pumping tons of mana into this thing to make it big, and it just gets heroes downfalled or something, you're not going to be real happy with yourself. So only use this ability if you just don't have anything else to do with your mana. If you don't have anything else to do with your mana, it's just fine. Make it bigger, wonderful. But if you're holding back other spells and ways to advance your board state to make this guy bigger, that's probably going to end poorly for you. So be smart about this card. It's okay in Limited. Not always going to make your cut, but don't be fooled by the ability. Natural Connection. So this is this set's version of Rampant Growth. You're paying 3 instead of 2 for it. You get a basic land. Notice basic land, not any land. Comes into the battlefield tapped, but you know what? Still good. Much like the 3-drop elf we just saw. You're going to play it. It's not as economical as cards we've seen in the past, but it's just fine. It's going to help you ramp. It's going to help you color fix. It's going to help you power out better Converge spells. It's going to do a lot for you that you want it to do. It's going to be just fine. Nisa's a Renewal. So here's another card that actually does a couple things. First off, it really helps your landfall strategy by dropping 3 lands onto the board. So potentially you could put 4 lands on the board in 1 turn, which could really just make some landfall decks go off. On top of that, you gain 7 life. Nothing to scoff at if you're up against an aggressive deck. Again, another card that would be good to sideboard in against aggro. It's a rare. You're not going to see tons of these around, but when you get one, it can do some work in the right circumstances. Now, if you're not in one of those circumstances, or you're just looking for some crazy ramp into some big Eldrazi's, it's not as good, but let's face it, those are 3 pretty prevalent scenarios for Limited. Orin Reef Hydra. So speaking of landfall, this card goes great with the one we just saw a moment ago. Cost 6, you get a 5/5 with trample though, that's great and Limited, and every time you dump a land on the board, he gets bigger. If it's a non-forest, he gets another counter. If it's a forest, he gets 2 counters. That's pretty awesome. If your opponent can't deal with this, you're going to win the game and just run away with it. This thing is a house. I love it. A little too expensive for what it's doing in Standard and can easily be removed, but in Limited, this thing is a bomb. You'll play it. You'll be very happy to play it. Orin Reef Invoker. This is okay. This isn't always going to make your Limited build. It's kind of nice that it's a Grizzly Bear with upside, so if you need a 2-drop, it's a good 2-drop. If you have enough 2-drops, you might skip this one. But I like the fact that once you do get to the late game, you can dump 8 mana into this, becomes a 7/7 trample whenever you need it to be, and that's a nice little bonus. So again, it's not always going to make your cut, but it's a good 2-drop if you need it. Plated Crusher. So here's a hexproof creature. I think this might be the only, or at least one of the few hexproof creatures in the set. Costs 3 green, 4 colorless, which is a little expensive, but you do get trample hexproof and a 7/6 body, which is pretty good. He's at the uncommon spot, so a bunch of these will be floating around. Keep in mind when you draft, you don't want too many of these. 1 is probably enough. Worst case scenario, maybe 2 if you don't have any other expensive bombs in your deck. But this is good. This guy is a bomb. You're going to play him. He's going to be very hard to deal with. Your opponent's basically going to have to multi-block to kill him. That's about the only option. And if you can back him up with some spot removal, he can be quite good at winning the game. So this one's limited bomb. Plummet, so of course Plummet's a reprint. Plummet's always a good card. It's really strong removal. A lot of people sideboard Plummet in. I don't mind main decking at least one Plummet sometimes. You know there's going to be a flyer. In most cases, your opponent's going to be running a flyer in limited, especially sealed, right? So, yeah, it's a great card. It's back again. You're going to be very happy to play it. Really strong removal for green. Reclaiming Vines. This is another card that I probably wouldn't mind main decking a one of just because it's so versatile. Now, there's not a whole lot of artifacts in the set. I think there's only 6 artifacts. But there's some good enchantments with the retreats. And, of course, there's a lot of great lands. And there's awaken effects and stuff like that. So this is a very good card to just have as a catch-all to deal with some of these problems that you could encounter. It costs 4 at sorcery speed, which is fine. I guess that's what you'd expect to pay for something like this. But this will do you some work in limited. I do like it. Speaking of retreats, here's a retreat into Gazandu, and this is another really strong, really pushed retreat. Really like this card. It does a couple things for you. If you're aggro, it's awesome. You're just putting more counters on your creatures. That's fantastic. I love it. At the same time, this thing can gain you life, which is great against aggro. This is another one of those cards I'd like to sideboard in if I'm playing against the aggro deck. I've said before with the other cards in this cycle, I'm not a huge fan of paying 3 for an enchantment under normal circumstances, but these retreats are so pushed, and the fact that on turn 4 or higher, you can play this and still drop a land and get an effect out of it is still pretty cool. Love this card. This is great. It's going to do some serious work for you in a limited. Rot Shambler, this one's okay. You're only going to use this under one circumstance. If you're in the business of making tokens to sacrifice them for large creatures, then this is a pretty good 2-drop in that deck. If I'm not in that business, there's probably better 2-drops out there. I'd probably rather have, say, the Invoker in maybe a pure ramp deck or an aggro deck than, say, this card. But it's okay. It's definitely good in that capacity. It's not the worst 2-drop in the world by any means. It's pretty decent. It would be much better if it was any creature on the board and not just your creatures. Then it would be awesome. Probably wouldn't cost 2 mana. Then it would probably cost 3. But at the same time, because there's so many Eldrazi tokens, I'm sure they didn't want to go down that route. This card would probably be too good in that situation, especially for a cheaper cost. So there it is. It's going to be good in that one particular deck for sure. Other than that, it's a 1/1 for 2. Not very exciting. Scythe Leopard. So this is one of your landfall creatures, and there's definitely, especially once we get towards the end of the alphabet, you'll see it. There's a strong landfall aggro component, which works really well with red. So watch out for that archetype out there. But this is a 1-drop, 1/1, but it's a nice little aggro card. You drop a land, you get in there, it's 2/2. If you can put 2 lands out, then it becomes a 3/3. I'll say it, I mean, it's no step links, we know, but it's decent. You'll play it in limited. Seek the Wilds. I like this a lot, actually, in this environment. It's very hard to miss with it, considering you're looking for a creature or a land. And, hey, it's value. I mean, you're cantripping, but you're also getting a little bit of card selection out of it. Nice to fuel your landfall strategies. Nice if you just need to pull a creature. And I like this one. This is going to be decent to run in limited. Snapping Gnarlid. So here's another one of the landfall cards. This one's a little bigger now. This is your Grizzly Bear that gets +1/+1. Again, really nice in aggressive decks. There is a landfall aggressive strategy out there. This would be a part of it for sure. Swell of Growth. This is a good combat trick. This is maybe the best one we've seen so far in green. It gets you +2/+2, and you're able to put an extra land on the board, so that does some enabling for your landfall effects, which is perfect in a lot of decks. But even if I'm not going that route, paying 2 for 2/2 combat trick is pretty good as well. I wouldn't mind running at least one of those in my deck. It gets better if you're on the landfall plan, though. Sylvan Scrying. So this one's a reprint. What's nice about this, now it only costs 2, it is a sorcery, and the land goes to your hand and not into play like the previous card we saw. However, it's not basic land, it's any land, so you can grab your non-basics with this, and that's what makes this kind of cool. You can get your duels, you can get the lands that can be sacrificed for effects, that type of stuff. Those little spell lands that are out there, so there's a lot of things you can grab with this. Really like this card. It's going to do some work in Limited just because of that. And at the end of the day, if nothing else, it can just help you make sure you don't miss a land drop. When at 2 mana, that can be very important at times in Limited too. This card has seen constructed play in the past. I don't know if there's any decks looking for this right now in Standard, but you never know. As more powerful lands come into Standard, especially with the next set in the Zendikar block, there might be something out there worth searching for, so keep an eye on this one for constructed as well. Next we have Tajuro Beastmaster, and you're going to find there's some really good allies with rally effects in green as well. So green has that ability to maybe go into green-white and kind of go with the ally theme. This is a decent one. You're going to pay 6 for a 5/5 body that's going to be good in Limited, and its rally effect of +1/+1 is very good if you have a lot of other creatures on the board. So if you're going wide, even maybe in the green-blue build, this is pretty cool. If you're going with the ally build of green-white, this is very helpful. And another card that we'll see in a few moments is also very good in that build. Next we have Tajuro Stalwart, and here's a Converge card, and again, it's just not very exciting to me. If I play it for one color, this is a 1/2. It is an ally, so if I really am desperate for an ally and want to trigger those effects in Rally, then that's fine, but wow, I'm still paying 3 mana just to do that. And if I get 2 colors, now it's a 2/3. If I get 3 colors, it's a 3/4. Obviously, a 3/4 is great value for 3, but other than that, it's not that good, and you're just relying on the fact that you're going to have 3 mana or perfect mana early enough in the game for it to matter, and I'm just not seeing it. I think in most cases, skip this one. Tajuro Warcaller. This is the card I alluded to a moment ago. This thing's crazy push. Now you pay 5, you only get a 2/1. Okay. But look at this rally effect. Comes into play, all your creatures get +2/+2, and then whenever another ally comes into play, all your creatures get +2/+2. We've seen it in the other colors, especially white. There's just ways to get extra allies into play on a single turn. This card can become crazy. There's also other ways to give allies evasion or give them double strike, stuff like that, which just makes this card nuts. It's an uncommon. You're going to see copies of it floating around. This is going to be really awesome in the right decks for you. Now, if you're not in that ally rally strategy, this becomes a much worse card, obviously. You don't want to pay 5 for a 2/1 if you're not getting a whole lot of value out of it. But you are getting that +2/+2 bump. That might be worth it in some aggro decks anyway at the top of the curve. It's a pretty versatile card. I mean, know your deck. You're not always 100% running this, but it is very good in a lot of circumstances. Territorial Baloth. This one is a reprint from the original Zendikar block, and this is what landfall used to be like, kids. So this is your more powerful landfall effect. We're getting +2/+2 for a land. Costs 5 for a 4/4 body. The great limited guy. This was awesome in Zendikar Limited. It's going to be awesome in Battle for Zendikar Limited. You'll have no problem playing this. This is a really good creature. Next we have Undergrowth Champion, and this costs 3. This is pretty pushed. I like this. It's mythic, of course. You get a 2/2. Whenever a land comes into play, it gets +1/+1 counter, and then whenever damage is going to be dealt to it, you can just simply remove a counter and prevent the damage. That's kind of awesome. So these cards can be very powerful. Just the fact that this is going to get big fast, it only costs 3. You can put it on the board pretty quickly, and it's just so hard to deal with. Your opponent can't joint block it. They can't use direct damage necessarily to get rid of it. They basically needs spot removal, and yeah, eventually they'll find it, but at that point, how much damage is already done? This card's awesome. You'll be more than happy to play this in limited. It's fantastic. Probably a little too fragile for standard, though, because of all the spot removal that will be available. This thing would just simply get Hero's Downfall, but at the same time, awesome limited card. Next, we have Unnatural Aggression. So this is your fight card. This is your green removal. You're going to be super excited to get as many of these as possible in limited. This is the way that you're going to get rid of your opponent's threats in green, and it's going to work for you. It's going to be awesome. The fact that it also works towards processors is a nice little bonus. Isn't always going to be relevant. Regardless, it's going to be fantastic removal. Void Attendant. So this is like the one green processor. Now granted, there's a lot of colorless processors that you can build towards with your ramp, but this processor does what green wants to do. It makes tokens, so it totally makes sense. If you're trying to go wide, if you're trying to ramp, this will help you do it. And yeah, it's a good guy in those regards. If you're not trying to go wide or ramp, it's not as good. So say you're playing like a more aggro strategy, for example, then you might not run this card, but know your deck. It's going to be good in some decks. And finally, our last card of the day is Woodland Wanderer, and it took us a while, but it's a good Converge card. I like this one. I don't mind paying 4. Minimally, I'm getting a 3/3 with Vigilance and Trample. There's a lot of value there. That makes me happy. And if I put 2 colors into it, I got a 4/4 Vigilance Trample. That's pretty good. I'm more than happy to play that card. And it can even go up to perhaps a 5/5 or 6/6 under the right circumstances. So, fantastic card. And this works back with that card we saw way back at the beginning, the Haste Elf that can give you any color for a creature, can make this guy even better. So, really good card. You'll be more than happy to play this in limited. I wouldn't go as far as say bomb, but it's very strong and very economical. Well, having said that, we got through all the green cards in Battle for Zendikar. Tomorrow we will be back with the rest of the set review. We're going to hit all the multicolor, all the colorless cards, all the lands. It will be a pretty long video, so I'm going to try to go through it as efficiently as possible. And then on Thursday, we'll be back again with the pre-release primer, where we'll also be talking about the expedition, so you don't want to miss that. Having said that, if you haven't checked out our Patreon yet, you can click up in the right-hand corner. We got some Patreon-exclusive giveaways. And as always, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day.
Hey, thanks as always for watching. These videos are made possible by viewers just like you through Patreon. Please check out our Patreon page by clicking on the top right. Down below, we have more links to quality Magic the Gathering content. And if you're interested in seeing trading cards open that aren't Magic the Gathering, check out the link to our trading card channel, Heroes and Legends Trading Cards. Thanks, and have a great day.